back to another edition of Bailey Price Media Live.
Bailey Price Media, I like it.
Man, what's going on, everybody? Happy Wednesday. Welcome back to another edition of Bailey Price Media Live today. Got Alcorn State assistant head coach, Coach Leroy Frederick, Coach Fred, the main man, joining the show today. Can't thank him enough. You guys know him and love him, Coach Fred. I can't thank him enough for joining me. We got lots to talk about today, including Oklahoma State football head coach Mike Gundy responding to the NCAA about them denying Deion Sanders and Fran Brown's request for a joint spring game as Mike Gundy was attempting to revive Bedlam, so to speak, in Oklahoma and Oklahoma State's rivalry by doing it with the spring game. I don't think very many people knew that, so we're going to talk about that and break that down in depth. We're also going to talk about Bill Belichick and UNC's football staff having over 240 years of NFL experience. We're going to talk about Coach Prime's contract extension and get Coach Fred's take on whether Deion earned it and deserves it. And we already know JB's take, and everyone else in social media has some quite wild takes about that. We'll discuss that. We'll also discuss Adam Schefter saying that Shedeur Sanders, or let me rephrase, Adam Schefter saying that the Browns and the Giants are likely to not go quarterback with the number 2, number 3 overall pick. We'll discuss that and where that leaves Shedeur Sanders. But if you're watching, go ahead, hit that like button, subscribe, become a member of the Bailey Price Media Army. This is their third day live this week. We're going 5 days a week this week. This is our third day here on this fine Wednesday. Man, it's been a great 2 days of shows here this week. We've had Super Bowl champion Sean King on Monday. We had the main man Jeff Nadeau, host of the Sit Down Crime podcast yesterday, here to break down the Richard Sherman home invasion situation. He did a great job of that, so check that out if you haven't. But let's waste no further time. Bring in the main man, Alcorn State assistant head coach, Coach Leroy Frederick. Coach Fred, what up, man? Happy Wednesday.
Same to you, man. Wednesday, you've got national champion, SWAC champion coach, Coach Fred on. Yeah. That was at my guy Sean King. Yeah, I got them chips too, King.
Man, Fred, I can't thank you enough for joining, man. And lots in the news here. We're less than a month away from the NFL draft. It is April, Coach Fred. We've been waiting here these slow February and March months here, getting to the NFL draft month of April. We're going to have a lot to talk about here in about a few weeks. But Coach Fred, I got to get your take going on the college side here. Some pretty big news from the weekend or last weekend. Coach Prime in Colorado reached a massive contract extension, 5 years, $54 million, making Coach Prime one of the highest paid coaches in college football. I think this is well-deserved personally. Rick George, the athletic director there, who I've interviewed Matt and I, 0 to 60, we expected this. Rick George obviously has a great relationship with Coach Prime, gives him full autonomy to do whatever he wants, and we see the results here. Coach Fred, what are your thoughts on this contract extension? Does Coach Prime deserve to be one of the top paid college football coaches?
Yes, it's all about what have you done for me now? What have you done for me lately? And when they showed the numbers of the increase in revenue and what he's done for that university, I think it was only right that they came back and they made it right with him. These aren't the days of old where coaches come in and basically win-loss record grants you the ability to go in and reconstruct, renegotiate your contract. This is a new day and age, and I think that whole administration sat down, looked at the hard numbers, and said that, we can't let this go right now because it's too big for us in the whole picture. I think he's more than deserving for that just by the Prime effect alone. I think he does deserve that. The only question, though, Bailey, is if you remember now, when they first brought him on, the AD said they didn't have the money in the first place how they were going to pay him, and just figured we'll work that out as we go. We didn't even have, I think he said we didn't even have the full amount to give him in the beginning. So I'm sure now they have the full amount. or they have a way that they can get their hands on the full amount. So that's a big time move for Coach, big time move for CU, and trying to move forward because they don't want to go back to where they were. To 132 Division One, and at one point I think they were right in the 130s. So to be able to get out of that and make money, I think that was a huge move by them. Hats off to everybody that made that happen for real.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And Colorado definitely doesn't want to go back to 1-11 like they were before Coach Prime. And that speaks to the Prime effect and the impact here
Prime effect.
in seasons. And like you mentioned, yeah, I think definitely Rick George definitely talked about the university's lack of funding for this. And I think that was probably part of the reason why this took so long. Obviously, we heard news this offseason or rumblings or noise this offseason that Prime is leaving to the NFL. I think Colorado had to get this done. I know Matt and I interviewed Rick George, the athletic director, during the season, Colorado's second bye week, and they were talking about it then. He didn't give us a foregone date on when that was going to happen. He's like, yes, we've had conversations. Prime ain't going anywhere. He's just getting started here in Boulder. We just got to, get to an agreement, and obviously now they have. Coach Fred, my last question on this, and this is more stemming from a JB narrative, so to speak, or a narrative also on Twitter, because I think a lot of people who are college football fans may feel this way. Do you think Prime deserved this? Did he earn it? Because people are saying, oh, he hasn't won anything. He hasn't won a big game. My argument and pushback to that is, well, what big game has he really played in? The Big 12 was down last season. That's kind of my pushback, and we can go on about it. But I want to get your take on it first. Fred, did Prime earn this contract?
He definitely earned it. If you can remember, man, at one point in time, Colorado CU was the hottest place on earth.
Yep.
So he definitely earned it by that alone. And again, you can't put a measure, you can't put a dollar tag, a dollar amount on the Prime effect. And that's solely what it was, So, yeah, he earned it. New Age earned it. Like I said earlier, the old school way of doing it ain't here anymore. So, the quicker we get away from that, the better off we'll be. But did he earn it 14 years ago, 15 years ago? Probably not. Here and now in the last 3 to 4 years, most definitely earned it. The only thing I'll ask you on this, though, Bailey, and you could probably get this from your other partner, Matt, or whatever, within that contract, what is his buyout, and then what would he have to pay as a buyout to the school if he wanted to leave? I'm sure that amount on both ends is probably crazy.
I can tell you the actual numbers on the buyout. From my understanding, and shout out to Brian Howell. He works for Buff Zone, and he's the actual guy who broke this story. From what I understand, Prime's buyout here. Let me get the numbers. I'll get the exact numbers. But early, like at the first 2 or 3 years of the contract, I think it's like 10 or 12 million. It's a pretty high number. And then as you get later into the contract, it goes like to 5 million. I think 2020 it's like 4 million. 2029, I believe it's like 3 million. I think it goes down gradually as time goes on. That's what I know from. I'm trying to find the post here.
Front end loaded.
Yeah, the buyout is definitely a lot higher now. In the next, I think it's like the first 3 seasons that it's pretty high, and then as it goes down, it goes down toward the latter end of the contract. But nonetheless, Matt and I have said this: he ain't going to be in Colorado forever. Like, let's be real. This is like. Get to 28, 29, like he's probably going to go want to coach his kids if they're still in the league, right? Like Shiloh, obviously Travis Hunter and Shador, wherever they end up. I do think that eventually he's going to branch off and go to the NFL at some point. I just have been adamant on it for a long time. He's just getting started in Boulder. I don't think he's just using it as a stepping stone and just do what everyone thinks he's going to do is just follow his kids or what everyone thought, so to speak. I still think he's just getting started in Boulder. Nonetheless, interesting and well-deserved, in my opinion. Coach Prime getting a massive extension with CU. Fred, let's move forward here. I got to break some news here, discuss some news that came out today. This has been a long and running story. So obviously the NCAA denied Deion Sanders and Fran Brown's request for a joint spring game. And now Mike Gundy, Oklahoma State football head coach, responded to this. And I'll go ahead and show Mike Gundy's response. Oklahoma State and Oklahoma were attempting to revive Bedlam and have a Oklahoma versus Oklahoma State spring game. I don't know if many people knew that, but let me show Mike Gundy's response to the NCAA denying these joint spring practices. Take a listen.
I think we should. I mentioned it the other day. I just thought of the deal with OU. I think it's a good deal. I would like to do it. I'd like to practice against them. I'll be honest with you. I'm not going to waste my time on who's going to determine what the rules are anymore, because essentially there's not really enough of them to follow, and I'm not even sure how they have grounds to say you can't do it. Like if somebody just goes and does it, what are they going to do to them?
Sure. Mike Gundy is a character, man. But what are your thoughts on his response to the NCAA denying these joint spring practices? Go ahead.
His response is crazy. Ain't no doubt about it. But, he's one of those ones that does that from time to time, whether it's, toward the NCAA, social issue or whatever. But he makes a point. But I'll go on record because I think I said it here. I definitely said it when someone asked me on, I think it was my show or whatever. The NCAA had no other choice but to say no in this situation. Because if you say yes to this, you can't say no to too many other things that are going to follow this. So at some point in time, they had to put their stamp on it and say no as a way of trying to put the toothpaste back in the tube, because too many things have come past their desks and they've passed. We've got guys being granted 9th year of eligibility, and it has nothing to do with injury, so to speak. We have guys that have went to junior college and D2 for them to say that those years didn't count. So they have a new 4 years. They've taken their hands basically out of the NIL and said, hey, it's yours, whatever you do with it. So at some point they had to stop the carousel. And this just had to be the one, because if they grant this one, Bailey, I mean, it would have been good. Can you imagine how much money Oklahoma State and Oklahoma would have made off of a spring game?
It would have been huge, Coach. You know how this rivalry is. I think everyone wants this rivalry back, and just the effects of college football is why it's not going now. But I think everyone wants it back. As we continue to talk about this, let me show Mike Gundy's original comments on this, reviving this rivalry for a potential spring game. These comments were about a week and a half ago. Take a listen.
About that, and when you read it, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, honestly, for us, we should do a home and home with OU. In the spring, they have I think ours is on, I don't know what the date is, but it's a Saturday prior to last week, something like that. Okay, so they should come here on the 19th, and I think theirs is earlier in the year. We should go down there and play a home and home in the spring against them. Charge $25 a head. They can use it for NIL. We'll use it for NIL.
I think that's smart, Coach. I love Mike Gundy. He's like, charge $25 a head, put it to NIL. I'm with that. Like, I think that's great. Now, Fred, we talked about this last week and the possibility of the NCAA denying this request to have joint spring practices. Now, Fred, I want to read you the reasoning, the three biggest reasons they cited as to why. And we've talked about this extensively, but I want to actually react to it. First one, the timing of the request, noting most institutions have already planned their spring practice periods, and some are at the end of or have completed their spring practice period. That's true. 2, the competitive and recruiting advantage gained by the applicant institutions of a waiver was approved to allow these institutions to engage in activities no other institutions are permitted to do. We'll talk about that. And 3, the potential academic impact associated with student athletes missing class time to participate in practice activities. Fred, I don't know how you feel about that last one, but I think it's kind of a joke considering the way the conferences are aligned. You got Cal and Stanford traveling across the country. I don't think that's in their best academic concern here. But what are your thoughts on the NCAA's reasoning for denying joint spring practices to all these teams?
I think they went and just kind of cut and paste some different stuff to try to make it stick to that ruling. Like you said, if you're playing an away game, and Bailey being a former athlete, if you're playing an away game, you're not going to any classes on Friday.
Yep.
You're not going to any classes on Friday.
Yeah.
And then I think I heard tales of where Cal, when they came to play Florida State this past year, they may have left on Thursday.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when you talk about that and you talk about missing class, and then to be honest, most of these kids are all online classes now anyway.
Yeah,
So,
that is very true. That is very true.
The competitive advantage, I still don't think everyone would have jumped on board and did this in the beginning. So, saying that you're giving competitive advantage to someone if you give them this waiver or if you allow teams to do this, I don't think everybody would have took part in it in the beginning anyway. And then I just think, at this point, they are just trying to come up with a reasoning for why they said no, because they really felt like they had to say no because they listened to the Bailey Price show when we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. And they were like, you know what? Bailey and Coach Fred are right. We've got to say no at some point or it's just going to keep going. It's like the parent that never says no to the kid. And then all of a sudden, you got to say no. And then they just throw a full tantrum, which is what Coach Gundy was pointing to.
Yeah.
Okay, you say I can't go to the movies if I go. What?
Yeah, it's like, what are they gonna do? This is the thing. And Sean's pushback on it was he doesn't know who this committee is that denied it. Blah blah blah. From my understanding, I think it's the FBS Oversight Committee or something. I don't know. We don't really have it's pretty hard to put a receipt to that. Like who's really calling the shots here? You're never gonna really know for sure. But nonetheless, I just think a missed opportunity to have this happen. And like you mentioned, I don't think every team would have capitalized on it. I think a lot of teams are concerned, or at least Matt Rule in Nebraska canceled it because of concerns of tampering. I don't know how other teams feel about that. I think it's
tampering, injuries. I think a lot of people would have kind of, sided on that deal. But I think after that first year when they saw that Oklahoma State and Oklahoma made $1 million off the spring game, I think at some point everyone would have figured out that matchup to draw that kind of money to do a home and a home in the spring. So you think about, like you said, you think about what they could have sold commercials for that for 2 weekends, Bailey, for that Oklahoma State, Oklahoma. The rights to broadcast that game between those two conferences, who gets the rights, or do they both do it? And who sells the commercials and who gets the money from it? So there was a lot of money to be made, which is why I feel like at some point this will be revisited and it will be a deal of where, okay, yeah, you can do it, but, and that may not be, but 2-3 years from now, but it's going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And from my understanding, the NCAA is going to probably revisit this next year. And I think hopefully you would think, right, if they're going to say yes to everything, but not this, they're eventually going to do it, right? I think this is a great idea for this forever evolving spring practices here that you're seeing several teams take different approaches to. But nonetheless, Mike Gundy responds to the NCAA about it, as Oklahoma and Oklahoma State were attempting to revive that rivalry for a spring game. But interesting, denied, shocking. NCAA, no fun, and we move on. Anyway, Coach Fred, I can't thank you enough for joining. To all those watching, I appreciate you guys watching. Hit that like button, subscribe, become a member. We're going to have a short couple minutes of Q&A. So if you guys got any questions that you want Coach Fred or I to answer later, go ahead and drop it. And we'll go ahead and answer it. Super chat button is open if you'd like to donate to the channel as well. I greatly appreciate it. Coach Fred, I got to get your take on this. I think you'll have a great take and perspective on this. So Josh Jacobs says Travis Hunter has the potential to be the highest paid NFL player ever if he can successfully play both ways in the NFL. Now, this is something that I believe as well, and I think that if Travis Hunter is able to successfully do what he intends to do in the NFL, this could definitely happen. Josh Jacobs appeared on Zias, two streamers who actually played at the University of Tulsa, I believe. But take a listen to this. Coach Fred will get your take.
He is able to do it, though. He going to have to be the highest paid player all the time.
True. Travis Hunter coming in, wanting to play two-way. You think that's realistic?
I think you give him. I think he earned the right to you give him a chance to at least see.
Yeah.
I think he earned that. You feel me? Like, do I think that it's possible? Like, I don't know. It's possible.
Yeah.
It ain't never been done for real on a like every
full
time.
But like, I say give him a chance. Let him see if he can do it. On me.
I think bro gonna make plays, bro.
16 games.
Yeah.
That's a little different though.
Yeah, it is. It will all depend on his body. Because who you know do that, bro? Nobody ever.
True.
It's never been done. Like, you have people to take a little few, you know what I'm saying? Like, he really gonna change, like...
Yeah, he gonna change, yeah, for sure.
You know what I'm saying? But I think he, like I said, I think he earned the right to be able to at least see. Shit.
See.
I agree with him there, and Sean King has had this point, who was on the show on Monday. One thing we can't do, Coach Fred, is say that he can't do it. Because every single time so far that people said he can't, he's done it. He played both ways at Colorado. Everybody gave him shit for it. Same with Jackson State. I say you can't tell him he can't do it. That's my response to it. Coach Fred, do you agree with Josh Jacobs' comments that Travis Hunter, if he successfully plays both ways in the NFL, could become the highest NFL player or highest paid NFL player ever?
I can see it, Bailey, but I mean the production's got to be there, of course.
Yep.
To get that price tag, but I just don't see it happening, Bailey. Just because of this is a different game, wear and tear. You're talking about playing receiver full time, and you're talking about playing DB full time. People have done it, like you said, part time here, part time there. Champ Bailey, Dion. Rod Woodson, a couple other people. But to say that you're going to play a full game with a couple breaks here and there on both sides of the ball, I think is really a reach just because of his frame. Now, can he do it when he's out there? Oh, yeah, no doubt. I think he can do it and be productive. But a full game with his frame in the way that I think teams are going to try to attack him by putting him in the mix, directly in the mix, I just don't know if he'll be able to hold up on a 16-game schedule to be able to do that on either side of the ball. Because if he's corner and I'm the OC for Baltimore, I'm cracking the sweep with King Henry toward him at least twice a series just to see. You know what I mean? Yeah, I want to test it just to see. And not saying he's not a willing tackler, but how long is he going to be a willing tackler with Derrick Henry coming at you? And that's just, one of those points that I just, I wish him all the success in the world. No doubt he's a great kid. But I just don't know if it's sustainable for him to play, let's say 70 plays in a game at a high level over a full season. I just don't know if that is sustainable enough. At his size, at his body weight.
Yeah, and Fred, I agree with you, and I think it's the type of thing where they're going to give him the opportunity to. I'd be shocked if they say, no, you can't do it. You've been doing it the entire time. We're just going to say, fuck it. You've come out publicly and said you wanted to do it, and we're just going to say, no, you can't. I highly doubt that's going to be the case. I think he's going to come out right away with whatever team ends up drafting him. He's probably going top 3 for being real. I always thought he was going to fall to 4 in New England, but it sounds like we're going to talk about this later, that the Giants and the Browns are not going quarterback. So I would guess Travis Hunter is going to be one of those 2 picks. Now, that said, I think one of those teams can give him the opportunity to, whether that's the Giants or whether that's the Browns. I think he'll come out and do it. I think as his career goes on, you'll definitely see him probably do less and less. As he gets older and stuff. But Fred, I'm bought in on this shit. Like I really am. I really am confident that he is going to go and do some shit we've never seen before, just because of what he's already done, and he's already proven that he's doing some shit we've never seen before. Everyone thought it was an anomaly the first year he did it, and everyone's like, I don't know if it'll happen this year, but because no one thought he was going to go and have that type of season this season, except maybe Matt Machesi. Matt Machesi came out 2 years ago and said, he's going to be a Heisman. They're both going to be top picks. He's probably the only person that saw this in the beginning. I really think that if he's able to go and do this and at a consistent level in the NFL, where he's playing both ways at an elite level like he has been, Fred, how could you not, for his first big time getting paid, how could you not how could you not give him that bag? Like, I don't know. It's two positions. If it's sustainable and he's doing it, how could you not give him that bag? That's just me.
No, you're right, because you're going to have to pay him as a top receiver. You're going to have to pay him as a top DB. So somewhere in the middle is going to be that amount. So,
like, think about it, Fred. Sorry, go ahead. Finish what you're saying.
No. Go ahead.
So I was just thinking about it, Fred. How much so the Panthers just made J.C. Horn the highest paid DB ever. I think it got broken again, I believe. But they gave him a ton of money. Think about it. The 49ers also played Brandon Ayuk a ton of money. Fred, I might be projecting and people can call me crazy, but do you not see, like, I'm not saying these are his exact NFL comparisons, but those are two guys in the NFL that got paid record amount of money. Dude, you don't think Travis could do what those guys are doing in the NFL? Ayuk on one side and J.C. Horn on the other. Those are just two names I'm throwing out there that have been paid recently. But your thoughts?
I mean, I do. J.C. Horn is legit.
Oh, he's a dude. Don't get it twisted. Yeah, J.C. Horn's a dude.
But I think by the time he gets there, that number is going to be even higher than that, because then you're going to have the Samuels kid. He's going to be back up. You're going to have the I was just about to call his name, Freak. God dang it. The kid for the Eagles, he's going to be up. And he's part of the return game. So it's one of those deals of where it's going to be like, I think he's going to have, if he does it, he's going to have to prove in those first 2 years, Bailey, that he can handle that workload.
Yeah. Agreed.
Stay injury-free, Lord willing. And then by the time he gets to that fourth year, they're going to have to come see him. No doubt about it. If he can get over those stumbling blocks early and, stay healthy, number one, and produce, number two, at that level. Because let's say he does it, Bailey, but he's only producing mid-level. What do you do then?
Oh, that's a good question, Fred. That is a good question. I think at that point you look at his impact on which side of the ball is he having the most impact on, and then you prioritize that side of the ball. But I wouldn't take him completely off the other side of the ball. I would just have it like, let's say he's dominating on defense as a corner, right? And maybe he's not having as big of an impact as a receiver. Fred, damn well, him with the ball in his hands, he's still electric. But I think if he's having like quite the impact on defense, you prioritize him on defense and have a couple, maybe a package or two with him on offense or something like that, where he comes in.
Yeah, where you try to get him in his hands.
Mm-hmm, yeah, something like that. That's my thoughts. But I think going into it, the NFL, the teams can't be afraid to let him do it. Let's see. Like, fuck it. What do you got to lose? If he has the potential to be a one on each side of the ball in the NFL and be able to do it at the same time, fuck it. Well, why not, right?
Well, you say, what do we got to lose? But then it might be that franchise be like, our number one overall pick. What do you mean, what do we got to lose?
I think the upside is too much, Fred. I think he's a freaking unicorn. I think you've never seen anything like that, and you have to take advantage of having that, because fuck, if the right team gets him, man, Fred, he's gonna be electric, man.
He's gonna be to them what Deion is to Colorado. Those jerseys won't stay on the rack. Those endorsements are gonna come by the boatload. So he'll be to whatever franchise. If he comes in and he wins Rookie of the Year, Bailey, can you imagine what that's going to be like?
Man, I don't know, Brett. If he comes in and does what he's been doing, right? It has to be. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. We'll see where Shedeur ends up. Honestly, Fred, that brings me to my next point. Adam Schefter came out. I believe he was on I want to say either Pat McAfee or Hammer Down or one of their shows with Ty Schmidt, and he came out and said that it's unlikely that the Browns and the Giants go quarterback with the number 1 and number 2 overall pick. Take a listen.
It really feels like the Cleveland Browns are inclined to look elsewhere. aside from quarterback. And it's starting to feel like the New York Giants at number 3 are starting to look elsewhere other than quarterback. So if the Browns don't take Shedeur Sanders at 2, and if the Giants don't take Shedeur Sanders at 3, and that is the feel that I'm getting recently, where is Shedeur Sanders going?
Fred, where is Shedeur Sanders going? If the Browns at pick number 2, let's say hypothetically they go Abdul Carter, and let's say the Giants at pick 3 go Travis Hunter, hypothetically, where does that leave Shedeur Sanders? Now, everyone and their mama thought Shedeur was going to go to the Raiders at 6. Then Pete Carroll trades for Geno Smith and is now talking about giving him a long-term extension. That seems unlikely, and I've said this on this show. I think the Raiders are going defense. I think they're going to go Will Johnson, the corner out of Michigan, at pick 6. That is my thought on it. The Jets. I thought Shedeur was going to fall to the Jets at 7. Then the Jets signed Justin Fields and have been very adamant in public that they are all in with Justin Fields as their starting quarterback. Now, Fred, where does that leave Shedeur Sanders? Could Shedeur Sanders fall out of the top 10?
I know you said opposite, but I've said all the time, all along, that he'll be a Las Vegas Raider. And then I kind of was like, well, maybe New York. But when they made the moves that they made, I was like, there's no way that can be that. Signing Jameis, and then they have what his name there as well now.
Ross,
so I just, I don't see that. But I can see the Geno, even with the long-term deal that they're working with Geno, a learn and see process. I can see that going. Come in, it's no rush to play. Who his game is similar to under Geno, learn the game under Pete tutelage. I still say that is a landing spot unless something just happens, crazy, which does happen on draft day. I can see that being a landing spot for him. If not there, then I definitely got to believe that it's out of the top 10, because that's number 7 right there, right?
Yeah. The Raiders are at 6, Jets at 7. Going to MT. I've been saying this for a while that I don't think the Raiders are going to go quarterback, strictly because Pete Carroll's a defensive guy, and I think there's way too many defensive prospects out there for Pete Carroll to go and grab. I think the Raiders particularly need secondary help. My other option, I've said this a month and a half ago, the 2 Michigan cats. If it's not Will Johnson, it's going to be Big Mason Graham, the D tackle out of there. But I don't think they need a D tackle, considering they have Christian Wilkins. I know he had a kind of a down season after getting a bunch of money, but he's a dude. I think he can have a bounce back year. Now, Fred, if Shedeur falls out of the top 10, Dallas. Who else is going to be? We really going to sit here and not acknowledge that noise? I can't. If he falls out of the top 10, I think it's safe to say that he's probably not going to go start year 1. A lot of the teams that are out of the top 10 already have quarterbacks. With the possibility of Indianapolis, maybe they have a quarterback battle. I think they'll end up starting Daniel Jones because they're paying him that much money. But man, Fred, if Shedeur falls out of the top 10, is Dallas the spot? Goes and sit for a year or 2 behind Dak and start, and Jerry Jones gets what he wants, I guess. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Well, Jerry's all about that splash, right?
Yeah.
And that would be the splash of all splashes if he could do that. How much noise, how much controversy, how much whispering that would bring about over the next couple months into the season, which is what Dallas is all about. It wouldn't only be about him and the quarterback. I think at that point it will circle back to Deion coming at some point as the head coach. So
yeah, I agree.
If we get to that, Bailey, that's going to be the news, and you can bookmark it right here today on the Bailey Price Show, that if that happens, it's the next conversation to follow is that Dad is coming.
Well, Fred, who do the Cowboys hire? Schottenheimer. What is everyone saying about Schottenheimer? That it's a 1-year bridge or whatever. It's
placeholder. Yeah.
So
here we go.
Fred, I'm not Fred. Like I hear what you're saying. I man, Buff fans aren't going to like that. But if Shedeur goes to Dallas, they have a down year, and we know everyone's going to be calling for Schottenheimer's head if they have a down year this season.
And Dax.
And Dak, yeah. Man, that's something to watch, definitely. If Shedeur falls out of the top 10, here's the other thing, Fred, that I'm going to throw out there. Fred, this is the first year since Joe Montana was traded to the Chiefs that there hasn't been a first-round pick traded. We haven't seen any movement. I think it's it's different than in years past. We've seen at least one trade, even if it's small, even if it's like the Falcons trade up 2 spots and go to 13 or something. Something has happened. This is the first year since Montana's traded to the Chiefs, been over 20 years. Now, Fred, if there's a team that would trade up to draft a quarterback, which team could you foresee that being and why? I'll let you go and answer that first. Is there any team that you see that possibly could trade up that needs a quarterback? Pittsburgh has been a rumored team that they still have yet to sign Aaron Rodgers. We saw Aaron Rodgers throwing at UCLA with DK Metcalf, but no contract is signed yet. So right now they need a quarterback. The quarterback is Mason Rudolph right now. Seattle possibly, I don't know. They just signed Darnold. Darnold's younger, so that's their quarterback for the future. I don't see them drafting a guy they expect to start. Indianapolis possibly. I don't know how they feel about AR5. They also have Daniel Jones, but we've seen teams move on from quarterbacks like that, like the Cardinals did with Josh Rosen getting Kyler Murray the next year. But Fred, any teams you can see trading up to draft a quarterback?
I would have said Indy had that Daniel Jones thing not happen because they're probably one of the closest teams to getting over that and getting to that playoff hunt.
Very fair, yeah.
They're really close. The other, I think, is depending upon what San Fran does. With what they got going on with Purdy. Because they are also a franchise that feels like they're not far away, even though they've kind of dismantled some of the pieces that had them right there at the doorstep. But, the rumblings from within is saying that, we're still here. We still have the nucleus of what we need to get back to that championship game. Right. So I think it all depends upon what they're going to do with Purdy. Like you said, some of these contracts, as Cleveland has shown us with Deshaun Watson, it's a lot of money, dead money, but we are willing to move on from that. So I think you kind of hit that on the head as well. So I think it really depends on what they're going to do with Brock Purdy and how they plan on moving on from that situation or moving forward with that situation. So to me, I think that's got to be in play. Indy, San Fran.
I'm going to throw a dark horse out here because I'm like sitting here like, damn, the only team that I could really see making a move, and if it's not, Pittsburgh. I don't know what other team in those 17 to 32 really wants to take a quarterback or that I could really see taking a quarterback.
But I still think that's smoke and mirrors. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to end up there. Mm-hmm. But you continue to hear the Miami.
That's my dark horse right there. What are they doing with Tua? They got it.
And behind him, because at some point, I think they know at some point you're going to play with the backup quarterback during the season. At some point. Yeah. You hope not, but history has shown us that our backup's going to have to come in and win a game and play a week or two for us. So I can see them as well, baby. I think it's San Fran, I think it's Indy, and then I think it's Miami.
Yeah, and so I was looking up the Dolphins and who they have at quarterback. I forgot they signed Zach Wilson, also known as the Mormon MILF Hunter, this past offseason. They signed him as a backup, I guess. He was in Denver this past season and didn't get any playing time. Right. That would be really interesting and something to watch if Miami went quarterback. I just think that here's what I think, Fred. I think if Shedeur falls out of the top 10, a team that we want to expect to draft a quarterback will probably draft a quarterback. I don't know. I don't know what New Orleans has got planned. I know they have Rattler down there, who they're pretty big on, from what I understand. They still are keeping.
Yeah, that's the Norris down here.
That's a possible thing, but I'm like, I think that they'd probably want to roll with Rattler maybe for another year. See if they aren't going with Derek Carr. Cowboys, I think, are definitely a team to watch to keep Shador for a year and essentially tank. Because I mean, I don't know how you're gonna get over that Dak thing unless you trade him. That's gonna be a whole news debacle, as we know. Something to watch. I don't know. I don't know. Interesting. Pittsburgh, possibly. I don't know, Fred.
I still think that's an Aaron Rodgers smoking beer, last minute thing. They come to an agreement. Boom. Here we are. I think that's how that's going to end.
Absolutely. I agree with you, Fred. Well, nonetheless, sticking on the Giants thing, just to solidify, Deontay Banks is switching his number to 2 to allow Russell Wilson to continue wearing 3. Fred, I don't know where you stand, but I think it's safe to say I think the Giants, who are paying Russell Wilson up to $21 million a year, are probably going to roll with Russ headed into the 2025 season as a QB1. Not strictly based on this news, but I think that's probably what's going to happen. You're paying him that much money. And I think my biggest reason as to why the Giants aren't going to go quarterback, Brian Daboll, if he doesn't win 8 games this season, is probably gone as their head coach. I think you have to say that. And it's unfortunate because Brian Daboll won a playoff game with Daniel Jones. I was a big Brian Daboll guy. I thought he did a hell of a job with that Giants team, and I think that Giants team is actually not that bad, especially on defense. If you watch their defense, and particularly the defensive line, Dexter Lawrence, Azeez Ojulari, and several others, obviously Thibodeau. I think they're actually pretty damn solid on defense. We'll see what they do this season. But Fred, can't thank you enough for joining. I know you're busy, man. Can't thank you enough for joining on this fine Wednesday.
Thank you.
I believe you have a show going today as well. You want to tell the viewers about what you got going today at 5 p.m. Central?
Actually, we moved it. It's here in a few minutes, Bailey. So once you're in, it'll be we moved the drive up. We got a former NFL player coming in, speaking to the kids, dropping some gems for them. And we're just going to roll the show into that. And maybe, the viewers can go over to the Common Man Podcast on YouTube, like the channel, subscribe, tune in, listen, maybe you get something from it. Don Carey, like I said, former NFL player, 10 years, was up for the Walter Payton Man of the Year award at one point with Detroit, turned politician, CEO, businessman. So, going to be an interesting talk, and hopefully our kids can get something from it. And if you guys come over and listen, tune in, hopefully you can get something from it as well.
Absolutely. Check out Coach Fred and the Common Man Podcast. When are you live? What time? Are you moving it up?
Yeah. In about 12 minutes.
Oh, man, check out Coach Fred live here at 12 minutes, 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central on the Common Man Podcast. Check out Coach Fred. He's been doing the show the last few weeks. He had, I believe, Seahawks D coordinator Leslie Frazier, former Seahawks D coordinator Leslie Frazier on a few weeks ago. I thought that was a hell of a show as well. So check out Coach Fred on the Common Man Podcast. Coach Fred, I can't thank you enough for joining, man. I appreciate you. I'll reach out to you offline, man. Enjoy the Wednesday, and everyone watching, check out Coach Fred on the Common Man Podcast.
Thank you, B. Appreciate it, man. Every time.
You. Talk to you soon, man. I appreciate you. Man, shout out to Alcorn State assistant head coach, Coach Leroy Frederick, joining the show. He's one of our weekly guests, and we can't thank him enough for joining, man. We talked all things Mike Gundy responding to the NCAA about denying joint spring practices. Mike Gundy was attempting to revive the rivalry, Oklahoma and Oklahoma State, with the joint spring game, which I thought would have been interesting, but unfortunately, or expected, the NCAA plays not fun once again, not carrying assholes of America, as JB calls them. But nonetheless, we discussed that. We discussed Shador Sanders likely to not be going number 2 or number 3 in the NFL draft, as the Browns and the Giants are likely to not go quarterback with their top pick. We'll watch and stay tuned for that. But we broke that down in depth. We discussed that and so much more. If you guys are watching, hit that like button, subscribe, become a member. Go check out our videos that we post every day, and we'll be back here tomorrow, live here on Bailey Price Media, 3 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. We'll have a special guest that I will announce later today or tomorrow morning. I appreciate you, all you guys watching. If you guys are watching, hit that like button, subscribe, become a member, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Enjoy the Wednesday. Obviously, I'll see you on the Coach JB Show with Big Smitty tomorrow morning as well. But I appreciate you guys and enjoy the Wednesday. Peace.